everybody. I'm Nina Crowley. I'm SECA's Professional Affiliations and Education Manager, and I'm here today with two of my favorite people to talk to. I've got Kristal Hartman and Shelly Vicari, two of my Obesity Action Coalition friends. Kristal is the chair of the National Board of Directors for the OAC, and Shelly is now a senior program manager. And we are all getting excited to see each other in September in Orlando for the OAC's national meeting. And so I wanted you guys to come on and tell me some of the new stuff that's going on, and we're going to be there exhibiting. So I'm just excited to be with our people.
Me too.
Me too. I am super, super excited. It's going to be a wonderful event. So it's September 21st through the 23rd, and we're at the Wyndham Grand Orlando Bonnet Creek. And we have an amazing program as usual. Just, great educational program, exercise program, all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, Shelly, I cannot be more excited. I think this is my maybe 6th or 7th, convention with OAC. I should go back and count from my very first time in Washington, D.C., which was amazing. And, I think the thing I love the most about our conventions, and I remember being a little nervous that very first time I walked in. I knew Patty and Ted, but I walked in, I didn't know anybody else. And I had only met Patty and Ted one time, and they were like, you should come to this convention. And I thought, okay, this sounds pretty interesting. But I came all by myself. I was super nervous about meeting people and like, what do I do? Do I just like go up and talk to people? And it was the most amazing situation because I was a first time attendee and everyone came to me, and they made it such a great, such a great experience, and immediately wrapped me in. And it was literally a life-changing event for me. At the very end of the event, we made posters about what was most what most impacted us from the meeting. And I just remember holding my little poster up, and it just said, like, I finally met my people, because, my weight management and journey was largely spent alone. And I had no idea there was this community of people who were like experiencing the exact same or similar, right, situations in their life. And I just remember this incredible sense of belonging. And so anyway, that's why I keep coming back.
I think that was 2016 in.
Okay, good. Thank you
in DC,
because for me. Yes,
that was my first one as well.
Oh,
and my experience was similar, but from a healthcare provider side. I was invited to do a talk on, it was a debate, I think, on food addiction, pro and con. And I didn't have a strong, I forget which side I was even on now, but I didn't feel 100% on either side. So I was super nervous about that. And I remember kind of walking in, and it was 500 people in a big room. And I had never spoken to a patient audience like that. It was always other healthcare professionals. And so I was just so impressed with the caliber of the meeting. I mean, Shelly, I talk about this all the time, how professional the staff is. It was just, I just don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect it to really, exceed all of my expectations about the professional, conference attendees, the topics, the networking. And I've met, I think Cassie Story, one of my dietitian best friends, we met at that meeting too. So, there's a lot of good stuff that came from that. And it's evolved so much every year. I think, this year, even more new stuff. So hopefully we can, get a really good crew, and I'm really excited about it.
I think so too. So Dr. Robert Kushner is one of our program chairs and helps design the educational programming for the event. And he says that this meeting is his favorite out of all of the meetings, and you can imagine how many meetings he attends, and he truly says that this meeting is his favorite just because of the the interactions between the patients. It tells him, sort of justifies his career choice and why he's in this field.
Yeah. So even for I always say for other healthcare providers, don't dismiss it as just a sort of a patient meeting, because some of my best kind of professional connections have been through people that I've met there. We've gone out to dinner. We've had much more protected one-on-one time and really accessibility to talk. And I can only imagine if you're a patient and you're, being able to connect with some of these, high caliber speakers, that it's really, that keeps you in this space, I think, a lot longer because of that.
Yeah, and on top of that, just a little bonus is in healthcare providers, we do provide 18 units of CE. So if you're looking for that as well, so there's a nice way to get those out of your way.
That's big.
Yeah, it is. I did want to mention, so Kristal mentioned two people, Patty Neese and Ted Kyle, who inspired her and dragged her along to her first meeting and introduced her to the OAC and to the Your Weight Matters convention. They are speaking at the event this year, so they are part of a panel on weight bias. We're going to be doing some mock visits, talking about bias in healthcare. We're going to have some, positive experiences, some negative experience, talk about some of those and have some interaction between the audience and share some of the, good things that can happen and the not so good things that can happen and learn from them. So
I love that. The experiential stuff is really good. And hearing, we've always been talking about patient story and how important that is. And for me, going to a lot of the healthcare provider meetings, I'm finally starting to see almost all the meetings that I go to really starting to, have a patient with lived experience with obesity kind of speaking, sharing their story. All the ones that I've attended have really connected. You can hear people kind of buzzing about that and talking about that through the rest of the meeting. So I think we're finally at maybe a tipping point for some of that, even with some of the treatment options and some of the discussions we're having around assessment for obesity and outcomes measurement that I'm involved in with body composition. It's all like finally a time where things are moving, even with, as Kristal, you were just talking about Treat and Reduce Obesity Act. That's been around for 10 years and I've been talking about it with, folks in Washington for 10 years. And I feel so hopeful that maybe it's the tipping point. That's just what I keep thinking for so much of this work that we all have been doing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think too, I think back to what Shelly was just saying about healthcare bias. We have some incredible healthcare professionals that have gone on to get advanced, obesity certifications. But that's not the experience of every patient. And sometimes you don't even realize if it's not super obvious. And sometimes if it's super obvious, you still don't notice that you may be experiencing weight stigma or weight bias in your appointments with your healthcare providers. I think it's going to be really interesting to see that play out on stage and to understand what a good interaction looks like versus what a not so good interaction look like. Because for so many years, I was just told, if you could just put the fork down, eat less and walk more, you would be able to lose this weight. This is your responsibility, right? You should be able to do this. And instead of realizing at that point in time that I needed a new healthcare provider that was going to be more, kinder, compassionate about my care and
more
helpful, right? Because just like eat less, move more. I tried that for years and years and years, along with every other thing you can possibly imagine that most of us have tried about weight, losing weight. And so I didn't even realize how much that held my healthcare and the advancement of like my journey back, because that's the type of negative experience that I was having. So I think it'll be good for our attendees to understand. And, healthcare has opened up so much to people now. Even if you don't have, these types of providers, great obesity providers in your area, you can still connect with providers and do, telehealth. And there's other ways to help manage your health, and including all the work that you're doing, Nina, too, that really help patients and providers understand, what body composition is and how that's impacting our own journeys too. So I'm excited about that. And Shelly has planned, Shelly and team, Shelly and our, OAC staff, right, have planned some really unique things that are happening this time at this convention that have never happened before, or at least in my time joining conventions. And so I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'll share a couple of them with everyone. So just a couple of the, we always are so lucky. OAC, we get the top-notch, world-renowned speakers. We're just so lucky there, and actually these folks clamor to be speaking at our meetings. So it's wonderful that we have that opportunity. I think they once they've attended, like Kristal mentioned, they want to come back and again. So this year we have Catherine Saunders, who's going to be talking about brain-gut connection and weight regulation, and breaking down the science and letting us know how that all works. And Dr. Kushner is going to be speaking. Dr. Holly Lofton is going to talk about weight regain and, why it's so hard to lose weight and keep it off. And we've got Gary Foster is going to be talking about the power of mindset and behavior change, and how your thoughts and attitudes are sort of equally important to the food intake and exercise and all that. We've got John Jackson Blattner, who's going to do a food demo and some fun stuff, and talk about, she's always so fun, high energy. And she's going to be talking about positive nutritional principles for behavior change. And we've got Claudia Fox is going to be talking about childhood obesity, kind of running through some of the, for the parents in the audience, and for sort of understanding, your childhood and how that sort of relates to your weight journey, and talking about the American Pediatric Association new guidelines and going over those with everyone. One of my absolute favorites, who serves with us on the national board, Dr. Robin Pashby, is going to talk about, she's going to do a workshop, a 3-hour workshop on stress and developing coping skills, and how how stress and emotions impact your eating, your weight, and just, kind of fill up your toolbox with things that you can do instead of reaching for food and things like that. So I think it's going to be a real great one. And then, we're the OAC, so we are an advocacy organization. So we've got 3 different advocacy training programs where people can come and learn how to be a patient advocate. We've got sort of an initial one. We've got one for the next level. So if you've done it before and you've, worked with us in the past or taken OAC action, we've got sort of this next level one where you'll learn some more different skills. And then we've got a special program this year we're super excited about. We've actually got youths in attendance. We've got 11 young people from the ages of 15 to 20 who are going to be joining us with their caregivers. And we're sort of creating the next generation of patient advocates. And so they're going to be interacting and taking part in all of it. But they also have sort of a separate session as well. That they have Faith Herring, who I believe you had on your podcast before, who's going to be their keynote speaker and talk to them. And they've got some fun activities and self-esteem and busting internalized bias and all that stuff. So lots of good stuff there.
Oh, I love that. I feel like we've been talking about how to really reach the adolescent population for a while. And so this is coming together nicely. That's a real support for that age group. I know from my bariatric practice was always hard. It was hard to get them to come to stuff, and we were too old to get the technology right for them. So I think this is going to be a good learning experience and a great experience for them to connect with each other too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it will sort of guide future programming for OAC in that area. It's one thing we've always talked about it, having a youth program, but I remember sitting around, as a 40 some odd year old woman coming up with ideas to reach young people. They probably are, it's probably lame in their world or whatever they call it these days. So it'll be nice to hear from them and how they'd like to be reached, and who their, friends and things like that would want to have information, reach them. So
and then I love that it includes the caregivers too, Shelly, because as a mom of 3 boys, and obesity is something that our family struggles with and is challenged with across the board, no matter the age. And so I think bringing in the caregivers and sort of just like having them team up, to try to understand this disease state better, and to how we figure out how to support youth and their entire family because a lot of times, it's the whole family cooking and eating together, and it's the whole family having activities together, and it's the whole family understanding that obesity is a disease and that there are treatments and healthcare providers out there that can support them through this. And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and a couple other things, I mean, besides all the good education, I know that I love at meetings going to check out the facilities. The facilities at this place we were at for our board retreat are awesome. The one that I thought was the most exciting was their spa included really like, I had to do some market research, guys, but going in there, they were very weight neutral with the way they presented. I thought, here's the slippers, here's a larger size bathrobe. It was just they're in these lockers and that lockers. It was presented in just the right way. So I don't know if you guys did training with them, but I just thought that was really appropriate and kind of best practice for sure. And beyond that, some of the other amenities are really nice. And I always think some of the social events that you guys put on and the exercise stuff rounds it out really nicely. So it's not just an educational only. There's a lot of time to connect.
Yeah, it's true.
And
so
have fun.
Thursday night, we're actually, I mean, we all know that it often takes men to have a health crisis before they address their weight and health. And so, OAC's always tried to, reach more male audience. And so with that, we've invited the NFL Alumni Association. They have a new program called Tackle Obesity. And they're sending over a couple of football greats to come talk with us and share their experiences post career and how their weight, obviously when they weren't, playing at the level that they were playing, yet perhaps consuming, the calorie counts that they were consuming when they were, using all that energy. They, are going to talk about their experiences and how they've treated their obesity and perhaps how we can reach more men in the audience. So
I love that.
A good one. Yeah. And Dr. Holly Lofton is going to be sort of facilitating those conversations.
We'll have to get them. We'll have to get them on the bioimpedance device to sort of look at a higher muscle. I mean, that's part of what we talk about when we talk about BMI as a screening tool, but not for the individual. And of course, with patients, it's well, then what do we have? And so I'm really excited to be there with our device to show people some better outcomes. So look at as we're aging, women aging, looking at our muscle mass has become so important to me. And, I think showing, so we'll have to get the football guys on there to look at, because I think by technical definition, most people with that much muscle mass kind of land in that, overweight or obese category. And then, they may not have the health risk due to their other factors, but they just sort of get labeled. So that you'll have to funnel them over to me, Shelly.
I will. That's so exciting. Yeah. And we're so excited to have you guys come with the machine and then, and have the opportunity to have a body composition done free.
I can't wait.
All people in attendance. I think that's super cool. Something else I wanted to mention that was you said briefly our exercise program. That is one of my favorite aspects of this meeting. We basically offer a ton of different choices of some really fun activities that you can dip your foot in the water if you're just sort of getting into exercise. There's a yoga classes where we provide the mats. We're even going to give you a mat so you can take it home and continue the move, the positions that you learn. We've got because we're near Disney, we have a lightsaber technique class where they're going to do some martial art exercise with lightsabers. We've got, the typical Zumba and aqua Zumba and taking, we've got tons of pools to take advantage of at the facility as well. And we're going to do some Polynesian dancing and all sorts of stuff. So, it takes the sort of fear factor, like Kristal said, when you find your group of people, and you try something like this, maybe you're apt to, when you go home, continue it because you've taken that sort of fear factor out of it. So, so we hope everyone gives those a try too as well.
Well, that sounds great. And then I know, sort of wrapping up the weekend, usually there's an event and costumes. I don't know that I've ever got it together ahead of time to really represent, but maybe this year I will. So what's our theme this year?
Yeah, so Friday night, both evenings, we have something fun. Well, all 3 evenings with the NFL on Thursday. The Friday night, we've got a costume and DJ and dancing and dinner together and sort of, get to know everyone. The theme, obviously, because we're near Disney, is Disney themed. So you can dress as your favorite character, whether you're a Jedi warrior or Mary Poppins or, a Dalmatian, anything in between. So, you got a lot to choose from now with Disney. And then we've got Saturday night. It's a special event on Saturday night. It's sort of like, I don't know that you guys have ever gone to summer camp, but it's sort of the last day at summer camp where you all sort of, sit around and share the best thing about summer camp. And so we have people stand up and sort of share their sort of aha moments and the good stuff that they sort of rang true to them and that they're going to take away. And so it's a powerful conversation that we have on Saturday night. And just, it's just an awesome time. And then we finish up, it's like 8:30 when we finish up, just in time outside to catch the fireworks at Disney and hang out with everybody and just, get to know your friends, new friends.
Oh, I love that.
I love it too. Yes.
Great. Well, so did we pass our early bird registration or?
Yes, so early bird's over, but so it's still, just to give you some of the logistics, the details, it's $159 right now for full convention. And if you want to do the 18 units of CE, that's just, you add $50 more to that. And we have a great room block rate at the hotel, and that closes on August 25th. So people will want to get in on that one. It's $169 a night, which is great.
That's
and we are again at the Wyndham Grand Orlando Bonnet Creek. And if people want to see the schedule or register, it's ywmengage.com.
Awesome. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll get some new faces, and definitely excited to see the regulars and have a really good time. Anything else you want to mention before we end?
I'm looking forward to meeting new people at this event. I always walk away with a ton of new friends. I think this will probably echo it. Just great, awesome people, and the conversations. Even I told you about the program, but that doesn't even touch everything. Just the hallway conversations when you're sitting there and you're just getting to know folks. It's just really great people come to this. So I hope you join us.
Yeah, and the difference between in-person and maybe virtual education, it's such a different experience. Our virtual education is really about education, but this is really about connection. The convention, our in-person convention every year for me, is like a reset/refresh of my whole year. I go and I feel like my cup is completely filled by the people and by the content, and it's like a fresh new lease on the year, for the next 12 months until our next meeting. And it feels that way. And I really encourage people to come. And travel is getting, so much easier. And even with the inflation right now, flights have come down. There's been, some news articles about that. And so it's time and money well spent, to come for a few days and experience this. And I feel like people, if you can invest in yourself that way, I highly encourage, you to do it and to come.
I would say too, for other healthcare professionals, that it is unique in that if you're working with patients as a professional, this is a really different way to sort of get to know the person and the people who are, on the other side of some of that medical treatment. I think that for me has been one of the most valuable ways to really, have friends that are not, we say patients just because that's easy, but they're not patients, they're people. And these are, some of the real driving forces for why we continue to do what we do to sort of seek, better care for obesity.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next month. And
we can't wait to see you.
Yeah, Well, have a good time dressed as who knows what.
I know. I'm starting to put mine together. So
All right. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks, Nina.